Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about life after graduation. So if you just graduated, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, let's go ahead and talk about the different things that you can do after graduations. Woo. All right, so let's get started on all of this. So I'm Merary.
And I'm Elda.
And you're watching Let's Dig In. All right, so yes, we're going to be talking about graduation and what to do after graduation. So again, if you guys have just graduated, congratulations. You have now entered into adulthood. You guys have leveled up, so good job. So now you guys will experience the stress that your parents have and the stress that your older friends now have in this world.
You're going to start getting those canas.
Oh gosh, yes. But there's so many options that are out there when it comes to graduating that honestly get kind of like hidden with the fact that school indoctrinates us to go to college. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of options out there. We're going to go through all of them, but of course we're going to start with college since that's the one that usually everybody wants to do. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing is going straight to college. Now, and when I say straight to college, I'm talking about university, like not community college. We have another section just for that. We're talking about university, the private school, as the big ones.
Yes.
And usually everybody wants to go to those. I am myself wanted to go to one of those as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just keep in mind, it is the most expensive route to take.
Yes.
So please do your research on it. What do you want to do? Do you have a career plan, or do you have an idea of what you want to do? How long is it going to take? How is the employment rate? And is it possible? And have you looked at all the possibilities to get that certain career? For example, off the bat, if you're planning to be a doctor or a lawyer, yes, university, college is the right route to go. There's no way around it. You have to go to university for those. Yes. How long is it going to take? We're talking about like 8 years, about 8 years, probably more. So got to be realistic with that. If a lot of people like to be psychology majors, so just a heads up for those ones that they're thinking of psychology, yes, that doesn't take that long. Usually you can get it done within the 5-year mark. However, employment rates, there is not a lot of jobs when it comes to psychology, guys. You guys need, so make sure you guys do research. I know a lot of people who graduated with a psychology major who had to go back to school to get something else. Mm-hmm. So check out what it is specifically that you want to do. But I mean, not that I'm saying don't look into psychology, just you got to look into it because there is a lot of people graduating with that said degree that there's too many people for employees or employers, más bien, to pick from. So the pay isn't that great. It's not what you expect. So make sure you look into that. Of course, lawyers, like I said, lawyers are also, they do graduate a lot. There's a lot of those who graduate. So employment rate is also very low. Doctors are always on high demand, but because of all this different government policies that they're trying to put in, the universal health care, it can bring the pay down. So there is a lot of different factors you must consider. Gender studies sounds cool. And I say sounds cool, but you will not get a job with the gender studies. I'm just letting you know now. So please do your research on all these different things. So I think another one too, like even in as far as doctors, if you're just planning to be a nurse, you don't really need to do the high-end university to become a nurse. So also check out the different ways to get that type of career you're looking for, if it is possible without the college degree. So because you'll save money that way. And then you'll find out you didn't even need it.
Or
that's the worst.
You can also do the community route through nursing. I know a couple people, I have a couple friends that are nurses, and they did do the community route, and it was way cheaper for them because there was so much financial aid available to them that they barely paid anything out of pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I mean by like you need to look into it and see if there's another route to get to that career, because sometimes you don't need that university to get a job as a nurse or as I don't know, like those. Usually, a lot of nurses, either if it's like a dentist or eye doctors, you don't need those high-end universities unless you're planning to like actually do surgery in the eye or actually like pull teeth out and stuff.
Yeah.
So look into it, guys. You do want to do a little bit of research. Now, I will expand on the community college in a bit, but sticking to the university, you also need to be aware of the price. Or actually, let me backtrack a little bit. Don't pick a school because it's far away from home. That is number one on my thing when it comes to universities. I'm guilty of it as well. Don't pick a school because it's super far away and you're trying to be far away from your family, or just because you never left your home further than a couple hours. Don't choose a school for that reason. Why? Because you will get homesick and you will drop out of school. 69% of students will tend to drop out because they're homesick.
And I feel like a lot of people forget that there is out-of-state tuition too. Like if you move out, you're not legally a resident in that new state yet, according to whatever their laws are. So you do have to pay that out-of-state tuition because you're not legally a resident. So it is way more expensive because you chose to move out of state. Now you have your regular tuition and out-of-state tuition.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next point is you need to keep the cost in mind. The tuitions that everybody says is just the sticker price. It's not the actual price of going to the university. So tuition, like she just mentioned, tuition only pays for the classes or just to attend the college. It doesn't pay for, the out-of-state expensive. Now, if you're in-state, of course, you don't have to worry about that, but you still have to worry about the room and board, the books, which I recommend renting. Don't buy books, please. Rent your books. It doesn't include transportation. It does not include food most of the time. So you got look into what it is exactly you're going to be paying for. And tuition alone, on average, can be between $8,000 to like $15,000+ a year. And look into that too, because some of them are like private schools can really get you on those and do a semester. So, so make sure it's either annual or semester, because of course annual you'll pay once a year, but then semester you're paying twice a year. So please keep that in mind. Again, if you want to be a doctor, yes, do it. But you're looking at, let's say average is 10,000. So if you're talking about 8 years, that's 80,000 right there alone, and that's just the tuition. That's not including all the other expenses.
I think another thing to keep in mind is a lot of people go for like the big name brand colleges, like the known.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of jobs, to be honest, are not going to care where you got your degree from. They're going to care that you have a degree, and to be honest, even more, are going to care that you have the experience. So getting that big name brand college in the long run isn't going to benefit you an ounce.
Yeah. And keep in mind, you do have to pay those back. I know politicians and people are over here swearing that, are guaranteeing free college. No, it's not free. And no one should pay for it. You should pay for it. You are choosing to go to college. So keep that in mind. And if your parents aren't helping you out, that means you are going to be paying for it. And granted, you shouldn't have your parents pay for it either.
Yeah, that's your education.
In my opinion. But, that's between you and your parents. So please keep that in mind. And then also research what is the difference between a federal loan and a private loan, and then what is the maximum of federal loan will lend you, because they only have a maximum that they'll give you money for, and then the rest has to be covered through private. And the privates, the loans or the interest rates are ridiculous. So keep that in mind.
Also keep in mind looking at when you have to start paying that loan. Are you going to have to start while you're in school, or do they give you some time after school? And are you accumulating interest while you're waiting to pay that loan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's big on private loans. Federal loans, you don't have to worry about them until after you graduate. And even then, I think they still give you like a year, and it's super low interest rates. But yes, private loans are big on that. So make sure, and that's how they get you. So if,
Yes.
if you hear all those things about like, oh, I have so many things on loans, yeah, it's because they didn't do research, guys. So with that in mind, well, we'll keep going with the university. Scholarships. Look into scholarships and apply to everything and anything you can, because they will help you pay for college.
Also grants. There's a lot of grants out there too.
Yes, but read into the grants, because some grants you do have to pay back.
Yes, definitely. You need to make sure you read all the fine print on anything and everything you apply for.
Yes. So, yeah. So please, again, research. I know it's a lot, but you have to do your research. Working while in school. Now, this is a tough one. It does require a lot of balancing. I do recommend it, because obviously you do have to pay for books. You have to pay for a lot of things that your federal loans will
Or your
not
living
pay for.
expenses.
Yes. So yeah, working is part of it, but it is learning to balance it. As the queen of procrastination, as a professional procrastinator, don't procrastinate.
Don't do it.
Take a lesson from me and do not procrastinate. It's not going to help you at all. It's going to stress you out. And this is another reason. I think this was the number one reason students drop out of school, because they don't know how to balance school life with work life.
Yeah.
And another one is your social life. Peer pressure is huge on campuses, guys. You will be tested on your faith, so I definitely recommend that you build a solid foundation on what your beliefs are, because they will be questioned. University is a very liberal mindset, and I know like it's very bad to say this, but they do have a type of indoctrination, so which is nowhere near religion. So keep that in mind as well. So if you you will be challenged, that's for sure.
I think with that one, it's also good to have people with your same beliefs and your same morals as close friends. Like, keep your guys' in check. And then you have study buddies, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of Christian communities in college campuses that I do highly recommend to join.
Yeah.
But yes, but keep that in mind. There is a lot of peer pressure into doing a lot of things you probably wouldn't regularly do.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's the gist of universities. Going now a little bit into community colleges, like we mentioned, is a good route as well. Going to school in general is a good route. Now, community college is less expensive. Because you don't have to pay for all that crazy general ed. You usually get a lot of help to pay off all the general education you have to get before you even get to the degree you want to. Yes, there's some other stuff. Again, a lot of research is required, so look into it, guys.
I think it's also a good way to start. Like, for example, doctors and stuff that do need to go to university, it's a good way to start because you still need that general ed.
Yeah.
So it's a cheaper way for you to start off. And taking that general ed, I'm not going to lie, some of your general ed classes are really easy. Some of them are harder. If you can balance work and general ed in community college and save, it'll help you a lot later on in university.
Yeah, because eventually, even if you will have to transfer eventually, because community college can only do so much, but it is a good start to save you a lot of money. And if you're one of those who do not know what to do or what career plan you're thinking of, community college. Why? Because you can you can take any classes and it won't hurt the pocket. Now, if you do it at the university, and when we're talking about like $2,000 a class, as opposed to community college, which is like a couple $100s, it can make a difference. So I do recommend it if you're not sure what you want to do, but you want to continue in school. Definitely community college, because you can dabble in different areas until you find something you like.
I think with that too, also keep in mind, do your research on how many units you can take until your financial aid requires a degree. Because financial aid does, for mine, I believe it's 74, and then they require you to have an associate's in something in order to continue to help you, or else they don't help you no more.
Yeah.
And so do your research, make sure that you're not just, taking classes here and there to try to figure it out. Make sure you're taking, your core classes first, and then trying to figure out what you're going to do, and keep track of those units. If you're not sure and you want to take some fun classes, take the ones with lower units to give you that space to get, if you're going to go for an associate's there, go an associate's, and then they'll continue to help you after that.
Yeah. And one other thing too, before we move on to another thing, yeah, those general ed classes are all required, whether university or community college level. So make sure, and so the other thing too, that 4-year mark that they keep advertising that school's only 4 years is not a lie. It probably would take you 4 years to actually finish your general ed before you even hit the core classes.
I was gonna say that. I was like 4 years for general ed.
Yeah. Literally, it's they always say 2 years for general ed, but it's actually 3 or more.
Yeah.
It's 2 years if you do like not only full time but extra classes on top of that. So I do not recommend that. Not until you get used to college classes, because they're a lot different than high school. They don't care if you show up, so it is on you to do all the work.
And a lot of them don't accept late work. It's a lot. I know I had a teacher, as soon as he closed the door, if that assignment was not on his desk, it didn't count. Didn't care if he was closing the door and you were putting it down, doesn't count. You got a 0 on that assignment.
Yeah, some teachers are really strict, and then some are very laid back. You'll see, but
you'll figure it out.
But yeah, it's really different. Okay, so those were university, community college. The other one that a lot of people don't like to or don't mention, and a lot of people, I don't know why it has a bad stigma, are vocational trade schools. Now, these ones are separate from universities. They're basically to train you to do a specific thing, and that's pretty much it. So they usually last between 1 or 2 years. They don't last that long. Those are I recommend these ones.
Yes.
So what are the different areas? These are the people who learn how to like give shots. These are the people who you're going for
ultrasound technician. Exactly. They have that there. They have the pharmacy technician, and like you were saying, they do have a bad rep, because I know when I was looking into them, my counselor was like, oh, like you're only there, like no one's gonna hire you with that. And then looking into it, they have your clinicals in places that are looking to hire. So you start your like work, like they call it like work study, I believe that's what they call it. So you're working to learn in an environment that's already looking to hire. So a lot of them, as soon as you get your degree, they're like, okay, start here. You start like this and that. Yeah.
No, they're really good. I don't know. Yeah, they have such a bad rep, but they're really good. And it's not just nursing stuff. Like people who fix like ACs and stuff like that. This is a vocational too, and they earn bank. So like look into it. There's people, and it's not just like nursing stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. When I was doing it, I was going for an interpreter, a professional interpreter as well. So look into it. It's really cool. And like I said, like I mentioned earlier, if you can get to your career without university, usually you can do it through vocational.
Yes.
So look into it, and it's usually always a lot cheaper, somewhere between $3,000 to like $15,000, depending on what it is you're going for. The only downside, it is out of pocket. Government will not help you with this, so it is out of pocket. So just keep that in mind, but it is usually the fastest route.
Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind when I was looking, because I did do some look into this, it is full time. Like that's why it's like. Usually like mine would have been 18 months, but it was every single day, like a 9 to 5 full time. So you don't have time to work. You don't really have time to be getting a job. So just keep that in mind, but know that there's a big benefit to this. I wish I would have gone back and just done it instead of like taking now what I'm doing it, because I would have been done and I would have had a job. But like they have I don't know why they have such a bad rep. Like you go to vocational school, no one's gonna hire you. They have people lined up to hire you.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't have really big requirements. Some of them just want citizenship. When I was doing my program for interpreting, obviously I had to take a test and make sure that I spoke Spanish. So it is different things. Like I remember there was one that was for the ones that help lawyers study.
Paralegal?
Yes. Paralegals make pretty good money, and they only go, and it's not a lot either. I think it's like a year and a half for paralegals.
History majors, if you're into history, law of history, that is your way to go.
Yeah, so, and you don't have to go through like Harvard or crazy universities to be a paralegal, and they're always hiring. So yeah, look into it. Again, research.
Do your research.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the word of the day. Research.
Yes, research. And then there's also education through employment as well. Now, I won't go into this one too much because I have it later on in my notes, but that's also another option. So that is university, vocational schools, community college. Now, another route a lot of people like to take when they're after graduation is military service. Now, again, don't use this as a way to get away from home.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I know a lot of people who use this as a way to get out of their house because they feel like they'll never get out of their house. Yes, you will eventually, guys. But they use it as that excuse, and they go in as like the lowest of low, like infantry level. And I mean, don't do that. Guys, there's a lot of opportunities in military. In my opinion, though, it's not my recommendation. I don't recommend going into the military at all. Why? Because of the peer pressure that is in there. You are exposed to a lot of different things, I believe, as Christians should not be exposed to. And I'm letting you guys know now, because of how strong that peer pressure is, you will do stuff that you would have thought you would have done. Just letting you know now from what I've heard and from what I've seen. Just letting you know now.
Yes.
If you do decide to do that, please go in smart. Please go in there with your roots deep in what you believe in, because they will. I mean, granted, university does it, but military does it even worse. This is the area where I've seen more people walk away from church than any of the other areas we're talking about. So if it is something you feel in your heart that you want to do, please go into it smart. Research. Don't just join the army because it's the easiest, and and I say army because army is the easiest one to get into than the other branches. Research. Okay, don't just go in infantry. Go into it like what it is that they offer. Yeah, they offer free education.
Are you looking to make a career out of this? Are you going to look, they still do require schooling to get up. So if you're looking to make a career, just know that you still will be taking some schooling. So it's not just like military, work my way up, get $1 million. No, it's still schooling. It's still a lot of work, and it's a lot from what I've heard from people. It's a lot on your body, and it's a lot on your mind.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. You've got to think about it. Military, what are they meant to do? They're supposed to kill the enemy.
Yeah.
So, yes, keep that in mind. And then the other one that's always pending is that you are joining an army. You are joining the military. There's always the pending doom of war. And who's going to be the first ones to go? You guys are.
Yeah.
And it always surprises me when I hear certain people in the military talk about like, oh, yeah, I can't believe they're sending me over there. And I'm like, you signed up for this.
I think something to keep in common, like the ones that I've talked to, the first thing they have you do is sign a will.
Yeah.
So it's like, keep that in mind. Like, you're signing a will. What is a will for? There is a very high possibility to the point where you have to sign a will. You have to sign away all your assets to someone. Somebody has to be put on your will. So know that it's a very high possibility. There's something that, I know it sounds bad, but something that they are expecting because they're having you sign a will. That you could die, you could get hurt, you can get, mentally messed up. And it's something that you're going to have to deal with forever.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's like, there's a lot of benefits to it, but also keep in mind the pros and the cons to all of it. Again, like I said, if it's God that wants you to be there, then yes. If it's not, then I really
suggest
researching before you take that route, because it is going to change you. I'm just telling you now. So please go into that one smartly. Like I said, there is a lot of
cautiously.
Yeah. Because, right now we're in peace, but that's not always going to be the case. And yes, insurance and all that is all good up until you get hurt. And unfortunately, we have a lot of military personnel that are homeless. So please keep that in mind. And then, and definitely make sure you have a lot of backing, like family support.
Yes.
You need to have a good support system if you're going to do it. Like I said, you're going to be exposed to a lot of stuff. Okay, so that was military service. I know it's like very negative, but please do research when you do it. I mean, yes, because I've seen a lot of good careers out of it, but you also need to keep in mind of all the stuff you were going to be exposed to. So if you were thinking of doing military, again, we recommend that we make sure that it confirmed that it was God that wants you to join the military. And we also were talking about how to have an accountability or have someone to account for you. So someone
Yes.
you can talk to during this period also to help you in your walk. So, and also to maintain your faith in God as well. So again, not trying to talk trash down into military people, but when we do need military personnel in,
Yes.
or we do need, it's the other way. We need Christians in military, but make sure that it is God's will that He has placed that in your heart.
Yes. Make sure you take some counseling too before and then during, just to keep yourself accountable and to keep yourself focused and firm in God, and that you're not being pulled into all the things and all the weird things and new things that you're going to be exposed to in military.
Yeah. So looking at the time, so we'll end with this one. So next week we'll talk about more the different options you have after
Yes.
graduation. So today we just brushed on we talked a lot about the college, university, and the different options you have there. You know, we have community college, vocational, and then we talked a little bit about military. But first and foremost, remember that during this time is the time where you are no longer a child anymore, you are an adult. And with that, you'll also be experiencing your faith in your own way too. Mm-hmm. You are no longer going to be relying on your parents' faith. You are going to start to experience your own faith as well, whether it be a good thing, whether it's like I guess deepening it or making it shallow and then walking away from it. Mm-hmm. So it is on to you, but I do recommend having it with God. Have God be with you in these different decisions. Psalms 25:4-5 says, "Show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior. My hope is in you all day long." So right there, we want God to be with us in our journey moving. I mean, we want Him all the time, but in this new journey, in this new chapter that you guys are walking into, you definitely want God to be by your side.
Yes. And definitely, just because you are young, I know a lot of people think like you're still young, you're still little. Just because you are still little or still young, it doesn't mean that you're any less of a Christian or that your faith is any less. Like, you can still move people, you can still be this leader and still be 18, you know. I remember when Aaron was our youth pastor, he was barely 18, and so it's okay to be young and have all this faith and be proud of that faith and be proud of yourself being so young and having this deep faith. We look at 1 Timothy 4:12. Can't even read. "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Instead, set an example for the believers through your speech, behavior, love, and faith." So be that example. You know, make sure that your faith is strong and keep it in God and keep it firm and take some counsel and be accountable for your belief, for your faith, and for your actions.
Yeah. And, you know, build on your foundation as well.
Exactly.
Moving forward. All right. So yeah, we'll touch on that more for the next video. Mm-hmm. But yes, these are a few options. So go ahead and list on the comments any options that you probably are thinking of. Yes, we haven't touched on a lot of them. So you can place them in the comments. We'll talk about them next. But we'll go ahead and close, or actually pray. So, Lord God, we just come before you. We give you all the glory, honor, and praise, Lord. We just thank you for everything you are doing, Lord. And I pray for all these different youths, these young adults that are just graduating, Lord, and they're entering to that new chapter of their lives, that you will just be with them and guide them and direct their paths, Lord, that they will find that truth in you, and that they will be able to discern the lies that this world tells, and be able to discern the truth, Lord, in all of that, and that they will be able to establish your light in everything that they do, Lord, and that they will not be embarrassed to say who you are, to speak your truth, Lord, that they will just rely on you and just place all their trust in you and build upon that faith that they already have, Lord. And then especially during these times where it's so easy to walk away, Lord, that we will just grab a hold of our roots that much more and deepen them in you and your promises, and that we will just commit to you, Lord, and that you will establish our plans. In the name of Jesus, we just pray. Amen. All right, guys. So, like, again, we are making this into a two-part because looking at the time. So we only talked about the college, you know, the vocational and community college is that option, and the military. So next time we'll talk about, work, going straight to work, and a few other things along that path. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and tune in for next week, okay? All right. Good night. Bye.